What's good, everybody? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. Many of you brothers complain about the fact that I don't share enough positive information on my page, that the majority of the commentary is about weaving, sailing, and dusting it up. And that's pretty much true because that's what you Negroes like. We're gonna be honest, all right? If I turn this channel into a positive channel about business, I would get 500 views a month, right? So Negroes like the dust, and I'm gonna give you what y'all need when it comes to that and try to slip in my gems here and there. But ultimately, I created this channel because I wanted to be a conduit for black men working together, which is something that I feel that we're still striving to do in our community around the world. And so many black men are taking their skills and their talent to the private sector. And largely that will be through employment. You know, a lot of black men, talented black men are working for, banks, Fortune 500 companies, other startups, or maybe controlling their own startup. But the focus of that economy is never to reinvest into other black men. And we wonder why we still have so many brothers that have so much talent, so much education, and yet as a community, we don't have the jobs created. We look at other communities like, the Jews, and I know what brothers are gonna say, well, they got helped out, and that's true, and Asians, but I also wanna look at some of the behaviors that we don't share, which is we tend to not pull each other up or offer opportunities to each other where that money comes back to getting more black men involved, educating and helping more black men so that they can also contribute to the community, and then our money will be recycling like that. We just don't think like that because we don't need each other. I'm gonna show you an example of what happens if you do need each other. If you somehow would depend on each other just a little bit, what are the opportunities? And I'm gonna talk about Camron. Camron, as we know, rapper, Dipset, people know him, controversial figure in hip hop, but people love him, I love him. The brother wanted to start a podcast, okay? The brother found himself arguing on the phone with friends, okay? Now, we all know that Camron was actually a pretty decent high school point guard. And what happened when he was arguing sports? Well, let's let him tell us.
What happened is this: as far as me starting a podcast, it started with, I'll be on the phone with a friend of mine, and we'll argue about sports. And by the time I look at the phone or I hang up, it's 2 hours and 17 minutes we've been arguing about sports. And I'm like, why did I let him drag me into this today? And so what I said to myself was, I said, all the sports shows to me were pretty much the same. And you had different personalities on shows, but the formats were pretty much the same. Mm-hmm. So what I did was I said, I'm gonna invest $250,000 into this project. I didn't even have to spend $250,000, but that was the number that I said I'm gonna max out. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I said, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna build a professional setting and put on a suit, but talk how we talk when we talk to each other when it comes to basketball. Because you had a lot of people doing podcasts and they're in their living room or they're in their bathroom or they're on their couch. And if you get a microphone and headphones, you could do a podcast.
Yep, your podcast.
And I said to myself, what if we need to make it look good, but then we talk how we talk amongst each other. And I remember we did the first episode and people was like, why are they letting Cam talk like this on ESPN? And I'm like, we're not on ESPN, we was on our platform, but it looked like a professional setting. And it took off. I did 3-4 episodes by myself. I actually invited Mace to be a guest on the show. And he was like, yo, man, this is really dope. Do you want to go half on it? Okay. And I'm like, yeah, we could go half, let's do it. So he didn't even have to put any money up, but he was willing to. Okay. I probably did 4 episodes and maybe 5. And they offered me $1 million and I was like, no. And then we got to probably 10 episodes and they got up to like $3 million. And I was like, oh, we got something here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when we actually did 35 episodes before we did a deal, but I probably spent $120,000 because I kept shooting and shooting. And Mace had this number in his head. Because me, I'm gonna be honest with you, I probably spent $120,000. So when they got to like $6 million, I was like, Mace, we got it. This doesn't make sense not to do the deal. Like, we only spent 100, and he had a real number in his head. He's like, Cam, we got to do it. So we did 30, and we ended up doing a $20 million deal.
So guys, you've heard that, okay? You've heard what he said. Mace came in as a guest, saw the opportunity. It's like, hey man, I want to come in and invest with you. This is different. He'd already put up $120,000, and Mace didn't even have to put up any money. Now listen to the part where he said he was getting offers $1 million no, $3 million no, $6 million no. He was going to sell it for $6 million. Here's what Mace said. Nope. We know what academics got on Spotify. We're not going to do that. Let's wait. $20 million deal. I'm pretty sure it's cut at least maybe 50%, some ways, something like that. All right. Now let me explain this. If Camron and Mace would have went to the route of ESPN, they wouldn't have an audience. If they would have went and tried to get on at Fox Sports, they could have been fired. But they own what they have. And they own what they have, and they do it for a community that understands what they have. And that community is what? It's our people. It's the African American community. It's those brothers and sisters who grew up in New York City, who grew up in Oakland. This is sports how we want to hear it. And then some of the other brothers too, Dominicans, and anybody who grew up in the hip hop era wants to see sports be done a different way. This is what we're getting here. And this is the opportunity that he created for his group, which means what? Everybody he hires can be from the community. The producer, the young lady on the show, all of that money is guaranteed. If they want to buy real estate with that money, they can do so. They want to put their kids through college with that money, they can do so. If they want to invest in real estate with other people, they can do so. All of that money comes back to the black community in some way if they choose and desire to do so because they created it. Nothing is better than creating your own lane with your own group. Yet, whenever I talk to black men, I always get so many criticisms. You know, it seems that the only time that black men can come together is to go to the strip club. This is not always, but I'm just saying for the majority, or go overseas and get some booty. You know, if it's talking about let's go to Brazil, let's go to DR, let's check out wherever country, then yeah, we can come together and do something like that. But when it's like, okay, well listen, man, we're gonna abide by these set of rules. We're gonna pull you into this. You're gonna look out for me, and we're gonna create our own economy with our own money, and try to make sure our people are gonna be, taken care of. We have a problem with that. Then you wonder why in your own community you see these Indian men, you see these Lebanese men, okay? Because they're operating on a different code. They don't have more talent than you, but they got more loyalty than you. A lot of black men can create other millionaires quick. I want to give a story about the brother Kevin Samuels. Kevin Samuels, I never physically was able to meet him. I was going to move down to Atlanta. A bunch of us was going to move to Atlanta. And I started my Pan-African dating show largely because of Kevin Samuels. That was the idea. Unfortunately, he passed, and I just kept it up going. And if I really didn't see his success on it, I wouldn't have even thought about doing it. Maybe as much. We had a little bit of a dating show I had tried, but I wouldn't have went so far with it. Okay? Now, Kevin, he was the first person that I gave an interview in the red pill space. He was in the fashion community. Once Kevin came over and he blew up, got bigger than me. Want to know who the biggest beneficiary of working with Kevin was? It was me. It was so much I was able to do something for my mother I had never been able to do in my life. It's something I wanted to dream to do. And if I had not met Kevin Samuels, I wouldn't have accomplished it. But the same may be for him had he had not met me. He's way greater than me. But we need each other at a certain point. Because that's what happens when you have people in the business. You have loyalty, you have friendship. This is what happens. And Kevin Samuels' relationship was worth more than all 37 years or 38 years before anybody I'd ever met in my life. Facts. That's anybody that I met in the private sector, anybody I met in college. Kevin was worth more than that. A black man from Oklahoma City. You could have never told me that a black man from Oklahoma City was going to be worth more to me than all the other connections I had met ever. What does that tell you? That when you can do something that you understand, that nobody can make more money than you and your brother. Look at Gillian Wallow. Wallow was like, doing 20 years, came out. Now look at him. $100 million deal with Barstools, putting people on in Philly. You know, Barstools give them a certain amount of money to give back to charities in Philadelphia. They're putting people on in their city because of what they did working together with their group. You never get more money than working with your own people to achieve something. We've seen it with Fubu, Damian John. Now, obviously doing other things, but if Damian John wasn't working with his community, nobody would ever know him. No one. Shout out to LL Cool J for putting on Fubu in one of his videos. We don't give LL a big shout out for that. But black men gotta work together to achieve your financial goals, to achieve anything. Now, of course, you're gonna have some brothers that's gonna be shady. Of course, you're gonna have some things gonna be difficult. But man, if you just do that, nobody says it's gonna be easy, but you can build something. You can achieve something. Once you're working together, you have incentivization in the group, man, you can do great things, man. I'm a living witness of it. I'm in Africa, man, there are days I ain't got power. There are days I'm struggling, but you know what? It's forcing me to work with the community, to work with the African-American community, work with the African community. I would never change it for nothing else. I would never go back to the white private sector if I had a chance, never. I can get more of my own group. Why do I need them? So guys, what do you think? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. Appreciate you for all you do. Heard the bell. We're out.